Greetings and welcome to the inaugural episode of the Nerdom and Other Nonsense Anime Podcasts. You thought there was another important inauguration this week, but this is the one that actually matters. Be sure to subscribe to us on Twitter to find the latest information on this podcast. And today we will be giving our impressions and opinions on the first few episodes of the winter anime season. I'm Bcom and I'm a pretty princess. Also, tonight with me I have Leo.
What's up, everybody? I'm so glad we decided to get to write the host intro, because this will be pretty fun.
What? Did I say something weird?
Oh, no, don't worry about it. But anyways, let's jump right into the winter 2017 anime's first impressions.
So I guess we're going to go weekly and just go day by day and look at the anime that are airing each day. So beginning with Monday, first show we have on the list is Gabriel Dropout, otherwise known as Himoto Omaro-chan Season 2.
And I am not watching this one, but you are.
So this is Himoto Omaro-chan Season 2. No, but it's made by the same studio, the same director, all the same people. And the premise is very similar, where you have basically like a little gremlin girl who in her room plays video games and like eats lots of junk food and stuff. But when she's out and about, she's like a normal person. Except in this case, she's an angel who is descended from heaven to Earth, and because she discovered video games, decides she doesn't want to be angelic anymore, and she actually doesn't care about people. So it's kind of funny. It's from Dogakobo, who are known for animating like really decently animated cute girls doing cute things shows, like New Game from last season.
Oh, okay.
Or was that last season? That was a couple seasons ago now, I think. But so I don't know. Dogakobo have a thing with animating little girls in bathroom stalls that I don't really have a liking for.
It seems awkward.
That happened with Alba in New Game, where she was, for some reason, shown changing out of her clothes in a bathroom stall. And in this anime, they played it more for a joke with one of the side characters, who's a demon, who is peeing and has her panties down, is shown peeing. But the real reason that she's shown there is because she runs out of toilet paper, and she says, like, this is, like, the worst, like, sin that has ever been committed. So anyway, it's a decent, fun, like, cute girls doing cute, dumb stuff show. It's very similar to Himoto Omaro-chan if you liked that. So,
all right.
Otherwise, on Monday, we have the new season of Yowamushi Pedal, New Generation. I haven't seen any of Yowamushi Pedal. How about you?
No, I've never seen anything about it. The people I've heard that have watched it have generally really liked it, but it seems to be on its own niche group, so I'm not watching it either. Yeah,
I mean, I like sports shows. I just haven't started watching this one yet, so I can't say if I'm going to be into it. There's been a lot of cute girls doing bicycle like cycling shows lately.
Yeah.
So I haven't watched this one. This one's
there was
better.
there was the motorcycle one last season.
Oh yeah, Bcom. Yeah.
And that one I got through half of it, and it wasn't bad. I didn't continue watching it because I just lost interest in it. But one thing I can say is that when I myself ride a motorcycle, that whoever did it, and eventually I did research at the time, I was thinking, like, whoever did this did some great researching on motorcycles, or they ride one themselves. And I guess it turns out that the producer or somebody or the writer actually rode motorcycles themselves, because they just did like a bunch of things that other people wouldn't catch on to. That I'm like, why do they know that about the motorcycles? But so that was cool for them.
Yeah, he was definitely like a total motorcycle otaku. You could tell from the way that show was written. That show's going to come up again, actually, because there's another show airing later this season that is very much related to Bakuman. But moving on for Mondays, Onihei is airing on Amazon Prime, and because of that, I haven't seen it yet. Like, Amazon Prime is doing all sorts of weird stuff with their anime service right now. They're launching what's called Anime Strike.
Yeah, I read a little bit about that.
Yeah, in addition to your Prime subscription, you have to pay now a $5 fee on top of that per month to access Anime Strike, which has, unfortunately, shows from the Noitamina block, which is usually regarded for its like sort of mature and above average shows. So it's kind of like they're being held hostage on this anime block on Amazon, which
That's
is really
interesting
unfortunate.
because after Crunchyroll and Funimation basically came together, and now all you need is a Crunchyroll subscription, that makes them like a huge powerhouse. I don't see other people standing up to Crunchyroll. I don't know how good it will be.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, I have an Amazon Prime subscription, and I was happy enough watching like Cabinery of the Iron Fortress on it. But if they're gonna make me pay even more on top of that Prime subscription that I already have, that's just really unfriendly to the consumer. I just don't think that's fair, basically.
Yeah. So how's Tuesdays looking? Any good shows there?
There's Tuesday's very much split. So let's start with the good. We have Aka or ACCA 13-ku Kansatsuka. This was an interesting show. I liked the soundtrack a lot. It's sort of like a slow jazz, like chill soundtrack, which I really appreciate. I like.
Does it make you think of Cowboy Bebop any?
Not the content of the show itself. Like, it has not nearly as much action, but the music is
I'm just talking
similar.
like soundtrack wise. Yeah,
the music is like somewhat similar. It's jazzy. It's bebop is way more upbeat than the jazz music that's in this show. This is more like Bill Evans.
Yeah, I doubt it compares to Bebop soundtrack, which is just absolutely amazing.
Yeah, that's an unbelievable soundtrack. But basically, this show, I don't really know where it's going yet. It's set where like there's this guy in this agency, and there's a lot of bureaucracy, and he's trying to figure out like a mystery, and it's like all kind of just confusing. There was a ton of exposition in the first episode, and that's all I've seen so far. I haven't jumped into the second one yet. The character designs are interesting. They're kind of like tall, lanky guys. It's definitely unique looking, but I need a little bit more story and action before I continue on with that one.
Okay.
On the other hand, on Tuesday, we have the glorious anime Handshakers.
Oh, this is the really good one you were talking about, right?
I have written in my notes, "Dear God, why?" So they did a really weird visual experiment with this show, in that it's like CG on top of CG on top of CG. There's just so many layers of elements going on, and none of them come together to make like a cohesive frame ever. Like, it's just like things like the MC will be walking down the street, and there'll be like CG people walking towards you that'll like pop in and out of existence and then like wander into the frame. It's kind of interesting because everything is constantly moving around. There's like a ton of motion. And
that's intentional?
Yeah, it's all intentional. Yeah, I mean, I think it's like intentional.
Bad work.
It definitely
is.
Just
the way you subscribe it. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, their color palette is really wacky. It's all over the place. It's trying to like enhance like these intense, harsh colors. But besides all of the crazy visual stuff, like the stuff I didn't like was like the content of the show. Like, let me explain to you. The first villain of Handshakers is so basically the main character runs into a girl who's a little loli, who he has to hold her hand or else she'll die. Basically, he stumbles in on her in like a hospital room, and she grabs onto his hand, and if he lets her go, there's like a scientist who comes and stumbles across them. She's like, "Oh no, you held onto her hand. You're like the perfect match for her. So that means you can never let go of her hand, or else you'll lose your powers and she will die."
Okay, that's pedo as hell.
Yes, it's like the dumbest conceit ever. But anyway, they get into a battle in the first episode with another pair of people who for some reason don't have to hold hands. But their thing is the guy has the girl chained up. Like basically an S&M bondage kind of way.
And like, sounds kinky.
Yeah, and to get her to like use her powers, he stomps on her crotch as she's like squirming on the floor until she orgasms and then ejaculates more chains for him to use.
Hold on a minute.
This show is fucking ridiculous.
I don't have enough words to describe how I feel. Like, I have to go watch this now.
I think you have to watch it because it's like so insanely crazy and bad that it's just like either it's a good hate watch or a good like laughing my ass off watch for sure.
Because at the absurdity, you're just like, this is so ridiculous, so you just keep laughing at it.
Yeah,
all right,
basically.
I'll have to check this one out now.
Yeah, nothing more to be said about that. In the second episode, it gets into more of the sort of pedo territory we were talking about before, but that's sort of to be expected from the preview of after the first episode. Anyway, on to Wednesdays. I haven't seen Piace Vole. I know we have it on the list. I plan to watch it only because it's about making Italian food, and I'm half Italian, so I'm into that.
Oh, this one totally skipped off my radar. I never.
Yeah, I think it's just a little short, like a little cute short.
It's a food anime. I want to check it out.
Running an Italian restaurant or something like that. Also on Wednesday, we have Akiba's Trip, or Akiba Strip, as the title would lead you to believe.
Yeah, the way it's printed out is very... you can take it either way.
So this is based off the games, and I've played a little bit of the game that came over to the U.S., Akiba's Trip, Undead and Undressed, and basically your character he gets caught up in a battle that takes place in Akihabara in Tokyo, Japan. And like he runs up against these like vampires, or these people called the bugged ones in the anime, who if you strip off their clothes, they disappear because their skin is very sensitive to sunlight. Or air. I think it's like air or like whatever particles are floating around in the air. They're just very sensitive. So you defeat them by stripping them, basically.
Yeah, I don't think they really explained it, but I was just under the assumption like it was just the sunlight because they're supposed to be like something like a vampire or something like that.
Yeah, basically. I think in the game they were just vampires, but in the anime they've been calling them bugged ones, whatever that's supposed to mean.
Ooh, well, I have something very interesting to say about this one.
Oh, yeah, what's up?
Considering it's called Akiba Strip, I expected lots of stripping, lots of ecchi, and I will probably never say this again, but this show needs more ecchi.
I kind of agree with you. It kind of seems way toned down.
I came into this expecting lots of ecchi, and in most anime, there's ecchi that's just uncalled for. So when I go in the one expecting ecchi and don't get it, I'm a little disappointed. I mean, there's a couple scenes where they're talking, and the camera angle actually is down and looking straight up the girl's skirt, but it's blacked out, and I'm like, well, why would you miss that opportunity?
I'm just like I saw that scene. I was like thinking, oh, like wait for the Blu-rays, I guess.
I guess I'm just really surprised by it. Because I know they really like their ecchi in a bunch of their shows, and the one that's almost purely made to be ecchi, they decide to go, whoa, let's dial this back a little bit. What?
Yeah. The other thing I was sort of disappointed about when I first started watching the first episode was that the character designs are not the ones that are from the game, which were great because they're from Akio Watanabe, who did the character designs for like most of the Monogatari series. And so his character designs for the game are like super sexy, like super like they pop off the screen. It's one of the things that like drew me to the game in the first place, but for whatever reason they couldn't get him involved in this anime adaptation, so we're stuck with like way more generic character designs because of that. Basically, I've just found this series to be kind of boring. I think the one really interesting thing about the series in a meta way is that it has a like simulcast or simuldub from Funimation that comes out like 30 minutes or an hour after the episode in Japan.
Oh, I haven't checked it.
Yeah, so it's kind of cool because you can watch the dub like almost immediately after the episode airs in Japan. That's like pretty new, and I kind of want to see more of that happening in the future. That's a really cool option to have. I actually thought the dub for the first episode was really strong too. I kind of got more of the humor out of that episode than I would have from the sub.
Oh, it came across better?
It came across to me like some of the jokes and like the delivery of the main character's jokes came across better in the dub.
That can definitely help.
And the last thing I would note is that I've been kind of bored with this show, but then in the first half of the third episode, they go into this deep dive making fun of audiophiles, and I'm totally an audiophile, so I got really into this. Like, there's just a series of scenes where the main character is like, he goes to a store, because he gets really into an idol, and he wants to listen to her music, but he wants to listen to it in like the highest quality he can. So he has to go to like store in Akiba to buy like really good headphones, and then they upsell him on like some like Stax headphones that they call ear speakers. They're not headphones, they're ear speakers.
What?
And then he buys like a Marantz like high quality like receiver, and then he starts talking about like tubes that he's gonna like insert into the receiver to get better like sound and all this stuff, like a gold wiring, all this stuff. And then in the end he's like, I've come to the conclusion it's better just to go to the live performance. So it's like all worth nothing to him. So it was pretty great.
All right, what's the next one coming out?
Okay, Leo, so this one I don't think you've seen yet. It's called One Room.
No, I know nothing about this. Tell me more.
Let me tell you about how this anime is really creepy, but it's also kind of like, I think it's like an anime that like the community needs to see. So basically what this is it's like you're playing a visual novel. So there's like a little girl who comes over to your house, and the point of view is as if you were the main character, and you never talk. The only one who talks is the girl. So like it's like you're interacting with her, but you're not saying anything, and she's like waiting for a few pauses, and then she'll respond to what you said, basically. So it's all from a first person point of view, except then strangely the camera then often shifts away from first person point of view to give you like panty shots and like cleavage shots.
Okay, so there goes my, like I just said a minute ago, how they would just go for whatever reason out of their way. They show ecchi.
Yeah.
God.
And I like all the comments I've seen about the show is like, oh, it feels so creepy because when you don't have like a character playing against them, it really puts you in the role of the camera. So you feel like you're kind of like leering at this girl, and you kind of feel uncomfortable about that because there's no interaction. But I feel like this is just like, I don't know. I feel like this same thinking could apply to a lot of other anime, because there's a lot of anime that show these kind of leering shots, but it's played for like humor because they have like another character to like joke around or like yell baka at and like slap them across the face or something.
Oh my god.
It's just this anime,
Cliché.
There's nothing for them to react to. So it's just like all us just looking at the girl and nothing else.
This sounds like really a weird experiment.
It is, yeah. I think they're trying to like recreate a visual novel experience, but it's coming off as really weird to people. So, anyway, I don't know if that one's worth watching. Besides, like the weird meta creepy experiment part of it.
Maybe.
The next one on the list is Kobayashi-san Chi no Maid Dragon, the KyoAni Maid Dragon show. Have you watched this one?
Yes, I am. Definitely enjoying it. First episode, I wasn't too sold. It was kind of humorous, but actually quite a few of the jokes I was just like, meh. I don't know if it was just my mood for that day or whatnot. But then I watched the second episode, and I'm like, all right, I'm on board now.
Yeah.
The main dragon suddenly became funnier to me. I thought she was hilarious. And then they also introduced a new character, which is basically a lolly dragon, which is... I don't know about lollies, whatever. But this one was actually very adorable and humorous. And there's like literally a 10-second clip where like the main character, she's throwing the food and the little lolly dragon's like jumping up and grabbing it. It's like How to Train Your Dragon.
Oh yeah.
And that made me laugh more than I probably should have, because I was like, wow, it was 10 seconds. It was just so cute and adorable and humorous. I just couldn't control it. I had to laugh at that part. And I thought the rest of that episode was really good. And from the opening, you can tell that there's more characters being introduced. So I can't wait for them to get introduced and see how much better it gets. If it gets better. It may get worse. But so far, I'm on board. I like it.
So I was really surprised when I saw that Kyoto Animation was going to adapt this like material. So I went immediately and read as much of the manga as I could, because I was like, why is KyoAni even doing this show? Like, they usually do like at least like slightly more serious stories. I mean, they did Nichijou in the past, but that was like a really hilarious comedy too at the same time. So
yeah, and this one's just like kind of a goofy, fun-loving one. There's nothing serious about it.
Yeah, it's kind of like a goofy, like almost like Yuri bait show, because like the the main
the
main dragon girl like sort of confesses her love to Kobayashi, and so the other main character is this like 20s or 30s ish like office worker named Kobayashi, and she is kind of just like plain, like she's a programmer, and so like this dragon just kind of like barges into her life and then like sort of latches onto her and like wants to repay her for being kind to her and saving her.
Kobayashi actually barged into the dragon's life first.
Yeah,
she got drunk. Found her. Yeah, she got drunk one night, like have been trained to think about salarymen and women from Japan. They get really drunk, and she goes wandering through the mountains and stumbles upon a dragon. And I guess she pulled the sword from her, like the story, one of the Bible stories where they pulled the thorn out of the lion's foot. I think that's a Bible story. I'm hoping I'm not wrong. But
I don't know.
Yeah, and that's how it goes. And so like, and then the dragon like pledges her loyalty to her. Then she's like, "No, I love you in a sexual manner." Also, and she's just like, "Okay."
She makes it very clear, "I love you in a sexual way."
Yeah, I mean, she literally said that, right?
Yeah, she did. Yeah.
Yeah.
So in the manga, I have like some issues with how like the material develops, like especially around the lowly character Kana. But I also think that KyoAni is going to adapt the manga to their liking, and they often tone down a lot of that stuff. So this could end up being like a really well animated, like little like cute comedy anime.
Oh, that'd be nice.
Like there were some dragon battles in the last episode that were pretty hilarious. So yeah, I mean, I hope that one just stays so sort of light and fun and keeps up with like the random moments of like unbelievable animation that come out of nowhere that really don't deserve to be in this show.
Yeah, if they keep doing what they did on episode 2, I will definitely stick to this, and I would recommend it to people just so for their casual enjoyment.
Then also on Wednesday, this is a stacked day, we have Kono Subarashi Sekai ni Shikufuku wo 2, or Konosuba Season 2, God's Blessings on This Wonderful World. This show is so funny.
Dude, I have nothing but praise for the first season, and when I heard there was a Season 2, the only thing I could hope was they would just keep up the same slapstick comedy in Season 2, and have they delivered? Absolutely.
They delivered in like the first 5 seconds. Like the show, Season 2 starts and there's like a Star Wars crawl on the screen. And I'm just okay, yes, they're doing it.
Their opening had me. I'm like, their whole opening's just doing goofy dances. And I'm like, yes, I love this. This is the show that I fell in love with.
And then, like, at the end of the episode, they, like, the whole second half of the first episode is, like, a whole Ace Attorney parody. And it was so much better than the actual Ace Attorney anime that we got last year.
Yeah, and I saw
in every way.
I saw you tweet that, and it's so funny because when I was watching that, I didn't watch the Ace Attorney, but I was watching it, and I was like, I wonder if this is better than the Ace Attorney anime. And then I saw you tweet it the next day, and I was like, no way, dude.
And then I know we both laughed. There's that scene in episode 2 where the giant frogs make a return, and Aqua and like the town like instructor, I forget who she is.
No, she's like a constable or something like that.
Yeah. They both get swallowed by frogs and are like popping in and out, going, help me! Just, like,
Aqua keeps popping out, and she's just like, ah! Ah! Ah!
And then Megumin like is standing on top. It's like, so you see like an X-ray version of her. She's managed to like stand inside of the frog's mouth, and I actually looked at the picture later, and
it's her staff.
Yeah, she wedges her staff, and she's standing on top of the staff so she doesn't get swallowed. But then she starts to get swallowed anyway. But I just love the repeating giant frog gag. It's really fun to me.
No, what's also funny about that? She's standing there. She's like, "No, go save Aqua first." She's like, "It's actually warmer in here because they were all cold and they got all their shit stolen." But yeah.
But yeah, they're definitely down on their luck this season because of the way last season ended. The whole town is kind of like their town is kind of on their side, but they're not going to stand up for them, and so they're like hugely in debt for damage that occurred at the end of last season.
Oh, and that's clearly obvious in episode 1 when do the Ace Attorney thing, because like at one point all the town has their back, and then they don't, and then they all have their back again, and then they don't again, and they just keep yo-yoing it. And I'm like, this is hilarious. But there's one other scene in episode 2 that when I watched, I actually applauded, I guess, to myself.
Oh, yeah?
Because it's the scene in front of the bathroom door where Kazuma flat out calls
yes.
bullshit on a regular cliche, like something dumb or perverse happens that's an accident, and then the girl beats him up or slaps him, he's like, I ain't gonna take that shit, I'm gonna fight back. And I just started clapping and laughing, and I was like, that was amazing scene.
The show is totally at its best when it's like subverting cliches and parodying cliches, and then just the voice acting of the whole cast is so on point, and it's so funny. The timing of everything is so good. So that's why I love that show.
Their emotions just get across so well, like just some of the simple things, like when they're running away from something, and like Aqua, she's just like, it is the funniest thing in the world to me. I don't know why, but it's just, I mean, yeah, just little things like that. It's just a little 2-second clip of her running, going, I'm laughing my ass off.
I mean, I know it's popular, but my favorite thing in season 1 was Megumin would have a pattern of yelling Kazuma, Kazuma, and then it would get old after a while, and like as soon as the audience started feeling it was old, Kazuma would start saying this like hi Kazuma des, like this like yes I'm Kazuma, get on with it, like thing that kept repeating, and it was always just it's so funny. I just love the script writers for this show. Like they just do such a good job.
I was a fan of Megumi when she would cast her spell and she'd be like, that was awesome, and then just collapse.
Yes.
Like they did that like 4 times, and I laughed all 4 times.
It's just so funny.
It was the exact same joke, and I still keep laughing.
I mean, I'm just sad that this only is getting 10 episodes again, like the first season. I just wish there was more of it. I know some people have been complaining about like the animation and art quality slipping a little bit with this season, but like, honestly, I don't mind it that much. Like, I think
I'm not
this
bothered
show
by
is
it
a
either.
comedy anyway, and like I just like that the characters are moldable enough to like make all these goofy faces and do all these goofy like over the top.
Yeah, that's one of the
things.
other things to do well. Like one of them saying something, and the other 2 are just sitting there with like the straight line mouth, like this is total bullshit, or what you're saying has like no purpose to it at all.
I know exactly what face you're talking about. It's like the flat mouth with like the 2 like T's on it on the ends.
Yeah,
it's just the best.
just the round black eyes, and they're just like they're like sitting there going like, yeah, we're totally reading your bullshit right now.
So yeah, that's Wednesdays. Man, Wednesdays are stacked this year. Wednesdays are usually a good day for anime.
Good as hump day. Need something to help get over it.
Oh yeah. Thursdays are also really good. Well, partially at least. So starting on Thursday, we have Masamune-kun no Revenge, or Masamune-kun's Revenge. And this show is about a character who was a little kid that was fat and got bullied and got rejected by a rich Ojo-sama type of girl. And he really hates that he got rejected by her.
Poor
and
guy.
Really hates that he got bullied when he was little for being fat. So now he's grown up and he's in high school, and he has worked out like a lot, and he's super good looking now. Yeah, he's super hot. But
he pulled through.
Yeah, he's not happy enough with just being super hot and super popular. Now he needs to be vindictive and make that Ojo-sama girl from his childhood pay for being mean to him. So his plan is to get close to her, get her to care about him, and then dump her on her ass. And so that's kind of a mean-spirited
well thought out for a young person.
Yeah. It's a little mean-spirited for me.
Yeah, I only have one thing to say. I have read the manga, and I can't bring myself to watch this to torture myself again.
Oh,
so,
wow.
I'm
That
sorry.
bad, huh? I've read similar comments. Yeah.
I will say I thought it started off great, and I read up to maybe almost to where it's at now, and just had to drop it. They introduced this one character who's actually a fat little person, and it's just, oh my god. I just can't. I couldn't read it. I struggled through like 2 more updates, and just I was like, nope, I don't care anymore about this. I'm just dropping it. And then it got an anime, and I'm like, I'm not watching it.
Yeah, I mean, I could see the show going down that route too. It already kind of feels like, I've watched 3 episodes now. It already kind of feels like they're kind of losing their way on the premise anyway. Like the main character is already starting to like cliche-ly fall for this girl, like even though he's supposed to hate her. Like so already I'm just like, I see where this is going. I've seen this like story play out like 1,000 times already. Like
it's not. It has some original qualities to it, but it, like I said, like at some one point it just runs out. It's all just one big cliche for the most part.
Yeah, it's too bad. Yeah, the art and animation isn't anything like spectacular. It's not bad, but it's not like something you would want to watch for that reason either. So
yeah. What's this next one on the list? You seem pretty excited for it.
I am really excited about this one. So this one is called Kuzu no Honkai, or Scum's Wish. This is another manga that people knew a lot about going into it. I haven't read it, but this show really blew me away in the first episode. So this is from Studio Lerche, who I would not expect to be blown away by ever. Like, I usually don't like their show. Yeah, like that I remember. I don't remember like liking many of their shows in the past. Yeah. And
I can't think of anything they've done. That almost sounds like a new.
Oh, so I thought you were disagreeing with me. Oh, yeah, no.
I haven't heard about them.
So this show is really complicated. It's about a girl who has a crush on like an older brother type figure who is not her older brother, even though she calls him brother or Oni-chan. It's a guy who is like a neighbor who grew up next to her. Yeah, so it's weird because she's constantly calling him brother, so you think that it's like she's in love with her brother, but it's just like...
So the show's playing on that fantasy of...
maybe.
Yeah.
But so at the same time, her older brother is now like a teacher at her high school, and he's falling in love with one of the other teachers at the high school. And so the main girl... Oh,
wow. Okay, so not do you have incest, but then you have student-teacher relationships?
Well, yes, because there's another guy, the other main guy, Mugi, is in love with the teacher who the older brother character guy is falling in love with, because that teacher tutored him when he was back in middle school.
And a love triangle.
It's actually like a love quadrant, like rectangle, with actually potential to be even like bigger than that as the episodes move on.
You're not selling me on this at all, so keep going.
Yeah, we got all the weird stuff out of the way. Okay, so the reason I like this show is that the characters are really honest with each other about their intentions. So Mugi and Hanabi, who are the two mains, Mugi says like they discover basically that they're both in love with these people and it's unrequited love, and they're both depressed about it, and they both don't have any outlet to talk to anyone about it or do anything about it. So they start talking to each other, and then Mugi proposes this idea of, hey, like we both love these other people and we're both not going to be able to be with them, at least not right now. So why don't we be there for each other like instead? And like, so they basically start having like a romantic, like touchy-feely, like flirty relationship, based on like pretending that the other person is like a replacement for their like dream. Like they like...
That's not healthy.
It's probably not healthy, but it's handled in like a really mature way.
Okay.
And it's also shot in a very, very beautiful like animated style. Like just simple things like when he's like putting his hand through her hair or like unbuttoning her shirt, this gets like really sexy, this anime, are really well done. Like they're really well shot, and the scenes are handled in a beautiful way. Like she will start crying because she feels really weird about the situation, not in a way that she doesn't want it to happen, but in that like she's kind of sad that it's not happening with the person she wants it to happen with, and it's happening with somebody else. Not that she, like nothing's being forced on her, like, so that's important to like understand, but it's just like, yeah, you can get in these characters' headspaces and really understand like what they're thinking. And in the second episode, there's a couple new characters introduced. One is a childhood friend of Mugi, the guy, who is very clingy with him, and it's interesting because Hanabi like shuts that shit down like immediately. Like, oh wow, yeah, she's just like, don't you dare cling to things that aren't yours, basically, and like gives her like a really intense stare, tries to scare her off. And Mugi later is like, hey, why'd you have to be so mean about that? And she's like, no, it's your fault for not properly turning her down. It's like meaner what you're doing than what I'm doing. I'm just trying to like let her off.
Yeah, like, giving her false hope.
Exactly. Yeah. And there's a girl introduced as well, who is sort of friends, her name is Echan, and she's friends with Hanabi. And there's a very interesting preview at the end of episode 2 where she may be also getting into a relationship with Hanabi to make things even more complicated.
Great.
So it's kind of like a soap opera, I guess, in that sense, but it's really well shot and really well animated and really beautiful and well written. So I've been really enjoying it.
Oh, that's good. What about Fridays? What's going on there?
Okay, so let's go to the complete opposite of that show.
The way you said, okay, has me concerned.
So on Friday, we have a show called Urara Meirocho, which is just garbage. It's just
great.
Total garbage. It's basically, there's a girl who was raised by wolves in the forest and looks like she's 9, but apparently she's 15. And
That's still not any better.
Yeah. She goes to a town where they train women to be basically fortune tellers, professional fortune tellers, to find her mother, who has been missing for a long time, like out of her life for many years now.
All right.
And she meets like 3 other really cute girls who all look like they're 9 and are 15. And since she was raised by wolves, the way she doesn't know how to like interact with humans like the right way. So she gets into trouble in the first episode, and she tries to like apologize, and the way she apologizes is by lifting up her shirt, it's like just barely so you can't see her breasts, and exposing her stomach, and then like there's little animals around her that are doing the same thing. So it's kind of cute until you're like, okay, so this is how they're getting like the pedo garbage into this show. Okay, I see.
Oh God.
And then all the other girls start doing it because she starts making them start apologize.
Like, oh my God, just move on to the next anime.
Okay,
I don't care anymore.
It's garbage. If you like that stuff, it's totally for you, but it's garbage. So anyway, Seiren is another show airing. I don't know if you've seen this one, Leo. Have you?
Nope.
So this is basically a spiritual successor to an anime called Amagami SS, which is a romance anime that a lot of people like because it's basically broken up into 4 episode blocks where there's one main character who's a guy, and there's like 5 or 6 different girls who he romances over the course of the anime. So it's kind of fun because instead of having your like individual ships and then some people being disappointed and other people being really happy, everybody wins. So like he gets with every girl, and like every girl gets like her moment to shine. So we're in
so like, are they different time periods, or is it just literally like completely different stories?
It's basically, at least with Amagami SS, it was kind of like a continuous period of time. So, but like when one girl's arc would end, she would sort of recede back into like the group of friends, and then the other girl would like get her story told, and she would like romance the MC. Like there wouldn't be any like conflict over like, hey, weren't you just with her? No, that was like all glossed over, and it was just like a new arc would start, basically. Kind of like a visual novel like romance game where like you romance the different routes of people. So
I guess
it's cute. It's kind of fun. This one, I've only seen a couple episodes so far, but the first girl in this one is really cute and kind of sexy. So if you like that might be an anime to watch. It's pretty well animated. The MC in this and the MC in Amagami are both like kind of like boring and plain, so that's kind of a downside, but at least the girls are really fun. So I know you're looking forward to talking about the next show.
Yes.
Which is Yojo Senki, Saga of Tanya the Evil.
Yeah, I was when I always do my research, which is basically reading a synopsis and watching a trailer if they have it, to figure out what I'm going to watch for the season. And I watched this one, and I really liked the trailer. And I was like, man, what are they going to do with this? But I wasn't sure what I was going to think going into it. But this one's turning out to be the surprise of the season to me. And I'm finding that other people are actually, weren't expecting anything from it. Mm-hmm. And then they're just like, oh, wait, this actually is good thing, some good things in it. So I was already enjoying the first episode. Has some like nice dark overtones, even though the main character is, if I'm reading your notes properly, is Nazi lolly Hitler.
Yeah, that's a perfect description, right?
Which is kind of true. Oh, and she has a lisp, which if you would tell me that was in this anime, I probably wouldn't even looked at in the first place. But, and I'm not sure how they're doing it, but they're getting around it, and it's not putting me off.
Yeah, no, it's doing a pretty good job.
Yeah. And like I said, first episode, I was enjoying it, but I needed to see more than what I thought. Then episode 2 aired, and I got to the scene where he He's a he at this point. Rebirth stuff. You just gotta watch it. It's pretty interesting. Basically, he's a salaryman, and you don't find out until the second episode, and he gets killed in one life, and then God's like, "Oh, you don't believe in faith, no matter what," and then sends him. He gets why am I forgetting the word?
Reincarnated.
Thank you. Reincarnated in a different world, and there's like magic and stuff. But the second episode is him as the salaryman, and just before he dies, like time freezes, and then God pops up and starts talking to him. But he refers to God as being X, and that whole scene was super cool to me.
I liked that scene too.
It kept like you said, it's him frozen, halfway falling off the platform in front of the train, and the camera keeps jumping from person to person. Mind you, everybody stands still. Everybody else is frozen in time. Even the main character, he can just basically only move his eyes. Even the rain falling's frozen. Mm-hmm. And they're talking, and then suddenly it'll cut to like a different businessman. He's talking, then it cuts to some like schoolgirl, and she's talking, but it's still the same voice. And it even cuts to like a pigeon at some point.
Yeah,
and it's talking.
That was the one that cracked me up. The pigeon talking.
And like, yeah, that made you laugh. But like the whole time, I'm like, oh my god, this whole scene's cool. And like, the conversation they have is actually like really deep and just crazy cool. And like, I was basically sold then, and I got to watch the third episode today. Mm-hmm. And it started doing something I didn't see happening. It started using like previous happenings and things said before to make jokes with them. They're usually kind of dry, which I'm fine with dry humor. I think it's pretty funny.
Me too.
And even though one of them is like really particularly dark, and I was like, huh. Like, and just the way they played that out, and I was either laughed at them out loud, or I was amused by them. But it's just a good use of dark humor, especially for an anime that is it's mostly serious.
Yeah.
So like, there's no other way they could have done humor without doing some dark humor, and they do it well. And I can't recall another anime that uses dark humor.
I mean, there are some, but I mean, they're few and far between sometimes. And they often come off as too edgy when they're trying to be dark. There's like a fine line you have to walk there before you go too dark, and you're just like, oh, this is just like edgy stuff for teenagers to get into.
Yeah. And that the one I'm talking about particularly, I don't want to spoil it for people. I want them to watch it so it's delivered properly. Mm-hmm. It's pretty obvious what it is. Something happens in the first episode. The third episode, they basically make a joke about it, and it's really good, even though it's really dark, but it's just really good. So whoever's doing the writing is doing a pretty darn good job. They know how to deliver some dark jokes.
Yeah, I came into this show, and I had Izetta the Last Witch, which was a similar setting for a show from last season, where I had that on my mind basically coming into this, and a lot of people loved like the first episode of Izetta the Last Witch, and then really disliked that series by the end because it became kind of generic. And it's a similar thing where like it's set in like an alt history Europe with like fake Germany and like fake France and all this stuff, and there's like a battle. And I didn't like the first episode of Tanya the Evil so much because like I thought they were sort of glorifying her like a little too much as this like little Nazi. I guess it's World War I, so she's technically not a Nazi, but she's like a German soldier. It's like a German officer who's just like a battle angel who's basically like wreaking havoc across the battlefield with like powers and stuff. I thought that was like a little bit like too much like over.
Yeah, they show her very OP for the most part.
Yeah, but then, like you said, the second episode was way more interesting to me because we saw her backstory. And yeah, I won't spoil it, but like too much. But her backstory is basically that she was a different person who's now been reincarnated. I actually thought that was really interesting because we see a scene where she's like a baby, but she's still thinking the thoughts of the person who was reincarnated. So like, did that person have to live through like 3 or 4 or 5 years of being a baby? Like, is this person Stewie Griffin? Is basically what I'm asking from Family Guy. Like, is that Stewie Griffin's backstory? Is this what happened?
Yeah, I mean, he/she had to live through it, but
I mean, Stewie's talking about taking over the world. I mean, Tanya's just talking about killing God. So, and that's also another reason I really like this show.
Is it killing God? I thought it was for them to deny God's existence, even all the way to the bitter end.
It's something like that, but she definitely wants revenge against X for like I don't know. She just has like a huge grudge against him for what happened.
Yeah, for like he's supposedly the creator, she's so against him because she's like, you created a flawed world and stuff like that. So,
but the second episode really gives you a lot of backstory for her character, and it made me a little bit like more strongly invested in the show, and I'll definitely continue watching. Haven't watched episode 3 yet, but I'll get to it.
Oh, that's good.
So, moving on, the next anime is called Fuka. Leo, why don't you start with this one?
All right, well, I have failed my duties and only gotten to episode 2 so far.
That's fine.
Yeah, I'm sorry, but, well, here's my reasoning. I'm just pretty much okay with this. Love triangles are just not my thing. I'm not too much into romances. But after seeing your impressions on episode 3, I'll probably give it till episode 5 until I decide to drop it or not. As of now, I don't really want to watch more of it. It's just, I think that's just more my taste. But if people like these kind of shows, then I think they'll like it very much. But it's just not for me.
Yeah, so Fuka is one like Masamune-kun's Revenge, where people on the internet were warning me, like, hey, this manga goes downhill hard at a certain point.
Oh, that's sad to hear, because I thought it had a fairly strong start.
Yeah. And people have been heavily hinting about things that are going to happen, and I've sort of strayed away from spoilers for now. I think I have some idea of what's coming, but also, like, the manga author Seo, people say, is notorious for, like, inserting, like, drama for no reason, like, just overreactions to every little thing that happens. So I came into this anime, like, trying to have an open mind. Like, I really like the character designs of Fuka, especially, like, the blue hair with, like, the headphones. Like, I just think she's super cute. And I liked Tama, who is the other, like, girl in the love triangle, who is, like, a pop idol, who is a childhood friend of the main character. I like this love triangle. It kind of reminds me of White Album 2.
And this dude's, like, the luckiest guy in the world.
Yes, he is. Like,
just these two babes are just all about him, and he's got zero game, but they are just falling head over heels for him, and you're just like,
yeah,
screw you, dude. It makes me not want to like the guy.
I mean, I was turned off by, like, the first scene of episode 1 where he is just minding on his own business on the street, and then Fuka comes, like, running into him. She's, like, a track star, so she runs really fast, and she wasn't looking where she was going. She bumps into him.
No, she's not a track star.
Well, she could be a track star. She's kind of
like her father was, like, a former, like, track Olympian or something, and, like, I guess the track clubs are already always trying to recruit her because she can run crazy fast.
So anyway, she bumps into the MC, knocks him down, and then she, like, mistakes what he's doing for, like, being, like, trying to, like, look at, like, an upskirt of her, and then slaps him across the face immediately.
Taking a picture. Oh, what was that anime we were talking about earlier that talks about this sort of thing happening and, like, I'm not going to bullshit you. I'm going to fight back. What was that?
Oh.
Konosuba?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, no, exactly. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, so that's the subverting this specific cliche is what we're talking about.
Yeah, it's a big cliche, and yeah, I'll agree with you. That scene turned me off because I'm like, how many times have I seen this happen?
Yeah, you're right. He had a cell phone in his hand, and she thought that he was taking a picture of her. But of course, this is all her fault. And then, like, even in the very next scene after she, like, runs off.
Happens again.
Well, first of all, like, the guy is like, oh, she was running like the summer wind or something. It's like, no, that girl just slapped you across the face. She just, like, physically assaulted you. Why are you talking about her like this? Like,
no, you should be pissed.
You should be super pissed. I was just like, okay, I have a huge disconnect here. But the reason I started to like the show is that basically Fuka doesn't use a cell phone. All of his interactions with Fuka are face to face. Tama, who is this, like, pop idol, who was his childhood friend, he's reconnecting with her over Twitter, like Twitter direct messages and stuff back and forth. So he doesn't see her. So it's like an analog versus digital relationship type thing. And I thought that angle was kind of interesting. And then the other part is that Tama is, like, a really good singer, and, like, in the show the vocal performances are actually pretty impressive.
Yeah.
And Fuka as well, we find out, has, like, singing talent, so they both sing. So there's some really good musical performances in this anime. In the most recent episode, I won't spoil it for Leo, but there was another really great one. So that is another reason to watch the show. It's just that, like, by, like, episode 3, the characters start acting in really stupid ways, and, like, just there's just so much forced trauma. Like, there's a scene where they're at the beach and the main character almost dies trying to save Fuka, who has a leg cramp, and like he dies, like almost drowns trying to save her, and she like resuscitates him with like using CPR and mouth to mouth. And then they're not worried about that at all. Like what they're worried about is that since she resuscitated him, she technically gave him her first kiss, and so
indirect kiss.
Yeah,
so
well, it's not.
quote,
I guess it's direct kiss, but still,
yeah.
It's like, oh my god, are you seriously like worried about this? Like you almost literally just died. Like you weren't breathing.
Oh my god.
So it goes down.
It makes me think of that movie, The Goonies. Where the kid pretends to drown in the pool.
Oh, that's the Sandlot. That's the Sandlot.
Is it? Oh, it's the Sandlot.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Dude, I love
Oh my god. I'm sorry, fellow Nerdom fans.
Yeah.
That's my mistake. Yeah, but the Sandlot where he does that.
Yes.
Hilarious.
Wendy Peppercorn, is that her name, I think? Yeah.
I think that's right.
I love the Sandlot. It's such a good movie. But anyway, Fuka, it might be like a fun love triangle to follow along with, or it may be extremely tragic and cliche. We'll see. Continuing on, this is all still Friday. Wow. We have Minami Kamakura Koko Joshi Jiten Shabu, which is like I forget what that actually translates to. I think it's like girls like bicycle club. So this is a very similar anime to like Long Riders, which I didn't watch, which I think came out last season, and then Bakuan, which was like the motorcycle club anime. It's very similar. My problem with this one is that it's too similar to Bakuan. It was really weird because so I'm watching this episode and there's this like girl main character who's like kind of like doofy and like she's really dumb, honestly. Like so she like wants to ride a bike for the first time in a long time. She's rode a bike when she was younger, but she's moved to a new town now, and her school is far away, and so she needs to ride a bike to get there. So she gets on her bike, and she tries to figure out how to use a bike again. And so she tries first to just sit on the seat and then close her eyes and pray that the bike will move. That's her first attempt. Then her second
she's just dumb.
Yeah, her second attempt is to put her foot on the pedal, on one of the pedals, and try to move it, but it doesn't move. And then she's like, oh, I think I remember having to use my other foot. So, like, it's this ridiculously long process. Like, this girl's, like, the dumbest person you've ever seen in your life.
Yeah, you have me convinced she's dumb.
That aside, her voice actress is Reina Ueda. And the only issue I have with that is she's using the same exact voice as the main character from Bakuan. So it's weird because we had this motorcycle club anime with the exact same lead character as that we now have in this bicycle club anime. And I'm just watching, I'm like, why did they choose to do this? Why wouldn't they have her act like any differently? It's like, it feels like the exact same show. It's kind of weird.
Oh God.
Like
what's next?
Yeah, I mean, it's just really no need to spend any more time on that one. It's just weird. Another one I watched the first episode of was Schoolgirl Strikers. This is like a mobile game adaptation. The girls battle each other, and then they want to become more like their senpai, and their senpai are more powerful because they only wear bikinis instead of actual clothes.
You're kidding.
That's basically it. Like, yeah, they run into their senpais, and it's like, oh, look how cool they are. And they're like wearing like the tiniest bikinis ever. And it's like, okay, so when they level up, they'll wear less clothes and like go buy the mobile game.
They'll just wear pasties.
Yeah, that's like the true superpower 5-star level characters. So.
And that's all you got to say about it.
That's
right?
literally. I was just like so bored during that whole episode. I was like, there's nothing to say here.
Okay, what's the last one for Friday?
Last one is Descending Stories in Shogun Roku Rakugo Shinju Season 2. So this one, obviously, I'm really excited about. Rakugo was maybe my favorite show from last year. It was definitely in my top 5 favorite shows from last year. And so it's the continuing on with characters who we didn't learn as much about in the Season 1, because Season 1 was like a giant flashback to 2 old characters who are learning like the way to perform Rakugo. And Rakugo is this Japanese art of storytelling on stage where you get up and like you can't use anything. You have to like kneel, and you can only use your hands and your voice to tell a story. And you voice a lot of different characters. You come up with different voices and mannerisms for them, but you can't move around much and be like all like histrionics and everything. So I loved the first season because like it told a beautiful story and a tragic story at the same time. Showa Genroku Rakugo Shinju basically means like Rakugo story is like lovers double suicide or something. And so there was a very tragic event in the first season, which was like very much in the title of the show. But all of the ways that the Rakugo and the storytelling of the performers are enhanced and match like what is going on in their personal lives were really interesting in season 1. This season, one of the main characters from season 1 is still around, Yakumo, and he's very much like a shell of his former self because of what happens at the end of season 1. And he's kind of like an old grumpy man who kind of just wants to drift away and die. But he has these 2 people living with him. One is his apprentice, Yotaro, who was in season 1. He's an escaped convict who basically listened to Rakugo in prison and wants to become a Rakugo artist because of hearing Sukeroku, who was the other main character in season 1, who was Yakumo's best friend.
Did you say he's an escaped prison?
Oh, not escaped. Did I say escaped?
I think that's what I heard. So I'm just like, whoa.
Oh yeah, he's a former prisoner who is now no longer in prison. Former inmate. But yeah, so he's now like rolling along with his career in Rakugo and trying to find his own way. And then Konatsu also lives with Yakumo, and Yakumo has been taking care of her since she was a little girl. She was Sukeroku's daughter, and for reasons at the end of the first season, she's now being taken care of by Yakumo. And she's also sort of like Yotaro's sister, but also he kind of wants to marry her to like sort of take care of her and a child that she has had outside of wedlock, and she won't even tell him who the father is. So it's a lot of drama. It's interesting so far. I don't think so far that it's quite as good as season 1. Season 1 like really like knocked me away, like blew me away in like the first episode, which is like an hour-long premiere.
Yeah, I think I watched the first episode, and I don't remember if I got distracted or whatnot, but I don't remember finding it interesting, which is weird because I'm a big anime fan, I'm a fan of Japanese culture and all that stuff, and that's, a pretty significant portion of Japanese culture, and I don't know why it just didn't interest me. But
well, this show's definitely not for everybody. It is a slow burn. Like a lot of the things that were interesting about season 1 were like very understated, like cinematographical like shot framing and stuff that was like fun to write like and read essays on the internet about, like why was this shot chosen to be this way, all this stuff. Like there was a huge like spout of stuff that like came out of all of that. But this season so far hasn't produced as much like stuff to talk about. Basically, it's taking a while to get going. So I still think it's very much worth watching. Like it still has some really great emotional moments, but I would like for it to pick up a little bit.
Oh, so that's the last of Friday. Well, how's the Saturday looking?
Well, let's start off with Spirit Pact. So this is another one of those anime that's sort of being like made on the cheap and marketed to China. I dropped this anime 3 minutes in. It was so bad.
How could it be that bad that you dropped it 3 minutes in?
So it was incredibly boring and over the top, like fake acting and bad comedy for the first couple minutes. But then you get like the main character who's kind of like this like little asshole guy. I have no other way of describing him. He meets 2 people who are having like a magical fight in a garbage dump. So they're battling each other in this garbage dump, like away from the rest of the city, so like where nobody will find them. And the guy who is fighting this woman turns to like the main character and tells him and explains sort of what's going on, has like a interesting conversation with him. And then when they're done, like he turns around to go talk to the woman, and then the main character, like from behind his back, like starts giving him like dual middle fingers, like "Hey, fuck you, motherfucker!" And I'm just like, what? Like it was just so stupid and childish, and I was like, and it wasn't even funny. That I was like, okay, if this is like the level this show is playing at, then I'm done. Like I have no time for this. So,
oh God.
Yeah. Moving on from there, Sangatsu no Lion, Core 2 is airing. I'm
Nope.
way behind on this show. Have you watched any of this?
Nope.
I'm still like 6 episodes in, and so this is March Comes In Like a Lion, and it's a really
that's
good
why I'm
show.
not watching it.
Yeah.
Sorry to say.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's a really interesting show, but like I'm kind of, I don't know. I kind of just want to binge this one. I mean, I may catch up, but I have so many other things that I'm watching right now that, yeah, it'll be a little while. But I do like the show. I like where it's going. But yeah, I just want to, I don't know. I want to watch other stuff first. Rewrite Season 2 is airing. I haven't been able to bring myself to watch the first episode of the second season.
I haven't watched the first season, so.
I watched the first season, and I think I rated it like a 2. That might be too high. Now I'm thinking about it. This is a terrible show. This first season was just a horrible show. So horribly written. The only thing that almost saved it was Kana Hanazawa coming in like in the season and just starting to make jokes like constantly and be like a little troll of a character. But even that didn't save it. But I don't know. Maybe they'll do a better adaptation of whatever route they're adapting from this visual novel in the second season. But the first season was a total mess. So,
well, explains why I didn't watch it. Jeez.
Yeah. Let's move on to something actually good, which is
Yay!
Interviews with Monster Girls.
Love this show.
Why don't you talk about this one?
Okay. This show, the whole time I'm watching it, there is always a small smile on my face. It's just so cute and charming. Man, I don't know. The main character girl is just the best main character just out there. She's man, I don't know how to describe this show. It's just
yeah, it's great.
Man, let me describe her as a character. She's just kind of this outgoing, very positive type character. She likes to be goofy. If she sees a joke she can pull on somebody just to tease them, she's so all about it, but in such a good, lighthearted manner.
Yeah.
And she's a vampire, by the way. Let me put that out there.
Yeah, the show revolves around a teacher at a high school who is really interested in monster girls but has never met one in real life. And then,
well, he's just interested in monsters in general.
Oh, yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just monsters in general. And then, yeah, but he's working at this high school, and then suddenly all these monsters transfer in at once, and he's just like, what the hell?
So, yeah, the girls, like, especially Hikari, who's the main character, the vampire who you talked about, they start, like, basically getting closer to the teacher because of, like, certain events that happen. And so he decides that he wants to like start interviewing them so he can learn more about monsters. It's like his thing that he wants to know more about.
Yeah, he's like writing a thesis about it, right?
Yeah. And so they get into these conversations where they talk about like, hey, these are the problems that I have as a monster girl growing up in like a normal, like mainly human society. Like I think the percentage of monster girls, I forget what they say it was, but is really low.
Oh, it was like ridiculously low.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so like this is nothing like Monster Musume. Like it's not like they're trying to like marry the kid, the guy. It's like very much like a student teacher relationship with like a little bit of playfulness. But Hikari,
yeah, and the teacher's whole he's interested in him, and it's clearly not in a sexual perverse way. Mm-hmm. He's clearly interested because he's writing a thesis about him. He wants to know these things. So like when they go to his office or whatever and he interviews him, he's just asking the questions, or he's like, how does your day-to-day go by? And it's just 100% about that.
Yeah. And one of the other monster girls at the school is a Dullahan, so a girl who has to hold her head in her arms and has like a blue flame that comes out of her like neck area.
Think Sleepy Hollow. It's very similar to that. That's what Sleepy Hollow is based off, is a Dullahan.
Or if for an anime reference, think Durarara with Celti, who is a Dullahan who wears a motorcycle helmet.
Correct.
So yeah, I mean, and I think her name is Machi. I can't remember. I think it's Machi. But she is having a little bit of trouble, like socializing with like the other kids at the school, because she's obviously she's one of 3 Dullahans in the entire world. And so these kids are obviously seeing her like a Dullahan for the first time, and like she obviously like is carrying her head around, so she's really awkward and weird looking, and she tries to make jokes with the students, but they don't know how to joke around with her. So one of the great things at the end of episode 1 is Hikari comes back to the classroom after talking with the teacher, and she just starts talking with Machi about how like, oh, her life is so annoying because like she's a vampire and she's like constantly can't go outside, but like her seat's by the window, so like the sun is constantly bothering her, but she doesn't.
Yeah, because she's weak. The sun kind of weakens her, and she overheats too easily, so she needs like cool objects. She likes to lean up against them and stuff like that.
Yeah, which is one reason why there's a snow woman who is one of the other.
Yeah, and which is why
girls.
Whenever she sees her, she runs up to her and hugs her and just like rubbing her face up against her.
Yeah,
She's
it's like, oh, you're so cool.
I love
you
you
feel
so much.
Good. It's so cute. But yeah, so like she goes up to Machi and she's like, oh yeah, and aren't you like having a lot of trouble? Like, isn't it so annoying that you have to carry your head around? That must be like a real bother and everything. And like all the other kids in the classroom like sort of start looking and they kind of like gasp and they're like, oh, that's so rude to like say that. But then Machi's like, yeah, no, it is kind of like annoying, but I get used to it. And it's the other students realize that it's okay to like approach her and like joke around with her. So that's why I felt it's like pretty heart touching, this anime. It's not just cute.
She's interviewing with the teacher, and doesn't the teacher? I wish we would say his name.
I'll
think of it. Yeah, but doesn't he suggest that she jokes with them first about her head being disconnected, which makes them feel more easier around her?
Exactly. Yes.
Yeah, and so like, all right, they're past that. That was basically the only thing that was making all her conversations awkward, is because they would somehow start getting close to the subject of her head being detached, and then the regular students would just be like, oh, this is weird, we can't talk about this, and we'd like kill the conversation. But then when she joked about it, the other students were like, oh, she's cool with this, and then they were just cool with everything else they talked about.
Yeah, I mean, I just really liked that whole dynamic. And then like in the next episode, it's focused more on the Doulahan, and like she wants to learn how to like interact with like a boy if she ever goes on a date or something, because Hikari tells her that like, you know, you could use some really like inventive like sexual techniques if you wanted to, which I thought was really funny and a cute kind of joke.
It is really funny because and if you think back to your high school days, that's totally something somebody would say.
Oh yeah, no, this is totally like girls would say to each other too.
Yeah, and you think about a Doulahan with their head detached. Oh wow, yeah, you could do some crazy stuff.
So she goes on a practice date, basically with the teacher, whose name is Tetsuo, by the way, Tetsuo Takahashi.
Which is sort of awkward.
It's a little bit awkward, but at the same time, it's really funny because she leaves her body at Hikari's house. So her body is just hanging out, and then the teacher is carrying the head around and like it's showing her like how to like go on a date and stuff. And when Hikari starts getting like a little bit jealous, so she starts poking the body of the Doulahan.
She pokes her in the boobs.
She does.
It's hilarious.
So she starts screaming, and then it's funny because like they've been like out for a while and like they've been drinking stuff, and so the Doulahan's body really needs to go to the bathroom. So Hikari needs to figure this out. So like. They eventually figure it out. She takes her to the bathroom, but then
and that's a whole cute little scene in itself when like she stubs her toe and they're both just rolling around on the floor like ah.
And then the weird thing is like the teacher's like holding her head in his hands while like miles away or wherever at the house like her body is going to the bathroom. So she's like sighing. She's like and he's like, oh, what happened? She's like, oh, nothing. It's just it's like a whole weird thing. I just hope they continue to explore like these weird troubles that monster girls will have.
Because everything they keep exploring is so cute and adorable, and it's just you have to watch this.
Yeah, it's
definitely
great.
One of my faves for this season for sure.
So finally, closing out Friday, we have Chain Chronicle, which I have not seen. So tell me about that.
I've watched the first episode, and I was completely lost because there was about 30 or some characters that I was. And I'm not exaggerating. I could go back and count, but I don't want to. 30 or so characters I just was supposed to know, I felt like. So I'm like, oh man, I'm like, there's got to be some other source material, something that I didn't look into. So I did some research, which is also known as typing Chain Chronicle into Google.
That's research. Yeah.
And then I found out it basically has 2 games and a manga. And it just, I like to know everything that's going on. And you may be introduced to everybody, but up until like, I don't know, you finally get introduced to everybody at episode 5. But I don't want to go the whole time just going, who is that person? Why are they important? Are they strong? Are they weak? Do they have any significance? So I find it really hard to jump on board with this one. So I'm already going to drop this one. I'm not going to watch it anymore unless I start seeing people being like, oh, this is amazing. Then I'll go back to it. But I have no reason to keep watching.
It's really hard when you have a cast that big that you're trying to introduce all at once. Like Mayo-Iga, the Lost Village, did that last year when they had like 30 people on a bus going to a lost village in the first episode.
Oh, yeah.
But,
which that's not bad because it kind of presents it as
a comedy.
Right.
Yeah.
As you got to learn who these individuals are. This one, it just like jumps into it, and I'm like, oh, I guess they're important. They're commanding those 2 people, but they look very well rendered, so they must be important too because they're talking back. And like within the first 30 seconds, you're at like 15 people, and you're just like, whoa, back up. I don't know who any of these people are. It's just a little overwhelming.
So moving on to Sunday, the last day. We still have Mobile Suit Gundam Iron-Blooded Orphans Season 2 going on. Have you kept up with that?
No, I got halfway through the first one, and I was enjoying it, but for some reason or another, I just haven't come back to visit it.
It's the same thing for me. Like, I'm also enjoying it. I've also been going back and watching through the original Mobile Suit Gundam, so I'm trying to get, like, I'm trying to watch the new one and watch the old one sort of simultaneously and close the gap in my knowledge like little by little. But going through all of Gundam is a big endeavor, so
yeah.
I'm liking it.
What about this next one on here that has tiny cats?
This is one of my favorite anime of the season, period.
Really?
Yes, it is. This is like a perfect anime to me. So this is called Nyanko Days, whose tagline is Nyanko is love. This is a 2-minute long anime. It's literally 2 minutes. And all it is a girl who's a high school girl, and she comes home from like a bad day at school where she has a girl that she's like jealous of. Like there's like a little bit of plot. And she comes home and she has 3 cats at home, and there's this unbelievably cute like scene. When she comes home, she opens the door, she says like, I'm home. And then all you see on this frame are like 3 little pairs of ears come running towards you. And then you see that they pounce and jump towards her, and she kneels down and starts petting them. And then you find out that they're actually like cat girls, like they're cat people girls.
They're like chibi cat girls?
Exactly. They're chibi cat girls. They're like little tiny chibi cat girls, and they're so adorable. It's like the most adorable thing ever. Episode 2 was just even more adorable little hijinks where like they're doing stuff around the house, like, and one of the girls is just like a little Ojo-sama kind of girl. Like she's like the prim and proper one basically, and she's like cleaning up the mess. Like one of the cat girls like jumps into a bowl on the table and knocks over stuff and knocks over like a bunch of liquid because cats obviously do that.
Typical cat. Yeah.
You would know, I would know. And then the other girl like starts cleaning it up with a rag, and so like the owner, the high school girl, starts petting her, and she's like, oh, you're such a good girl. And she's like, the little girl's like, well, it's not like I like you praising me, Baka, kind of thing. And then like she starts purring like crazy, and it's just,
oh my God.
It's just like concentrated diabetes. It's so perfect. And I think the other reason
it's that sweet.
The other reason I'm really propping up this show is that there was announced recently that there's going to be an OVA episode for the game Neko Para, or Cat Paradise, which is a very hentai game that's on Steam, and it's in a censored form on Steam, where like a guy adopts 2 cats as his children and then starts having sex with them. And I really hate that thing. I hate that it exists. I think the OVA is going to be very toned down, but this Nyanko Days is actually like just like the cute stuff without all that garbage in it. And I like that. I like that it's just the condensed cuteness part of it without the weird, creepy crap that gets thrown into other properties.
So we can say this winter season has an unusually high cuteness factor to it, right?
It definitely does. Yeah. And the other thing I would say about this is that there's a manga called Nukoduke, or Nukoduke, I guess would be pronounced in Japanese, but that's about a very similar thing where like a guy adopts 2 little cat girls, and it's like a really long manga with like well over 100 chapters, and I read a bunch of chapters of it, and it's super cute. It's clear that this idea and the Nekopara idea are kind of both adapted from that property, and maybe someday we'll get like a little short anime of that, because that would be really cool. It's really lighthearted and sweet. But anyway, moving on from the cat girls. Otherwise, on Sunday, there's a show called Idol Jihen, or Idol Incidents. I wanted this to be cool. This is like
I've never watched any Idol anything because I'm pretty sure I would just dislike it. Period. The end.
So for my Idol background, I like Macross Plus a lot. That's a great Idol property. Idol Master was a show that really surprised me in that it had a lot of really good plot to it and unbelievable animation. And then Love Live, I like much less than Idol Master, though I understand why people like it. It's very cute. This show is like a discount version of any of that. Like, it's not even close. But their angle was basically that like the idols are running for like political office in Japan. And so there's like the idol girls party, and so they're running against like the normal parties in Japan, and they want to like
this premise just sounds ridiculous to me.
This is so that's why I was hoping that it was going to be ridiculous, but also like politically like interesting. Like they were gonna like poke fun at the Japanese government and politics and like make jokes with these idol girls. But it seems like they're just trying to do a normal idol show and not discuss politics at all. And for that reason, it's kind of boring. And it's just...
Boo.
Yeah.
Can we move on to the last one on our list, which is really good?
Yes, we can. So, the anime that nobody can legally watch, Little Witch Academia.
Woo!
So, the problem with this one is that it's airing on Netflix. So, I think probably like Kuromukuro, I think this one was announced to have 25 episodes, which is awesome because the first 2 movies for Little Witch Academia were great. And they're both on Netflix in full form. But,
like mini movies, aren't they?
Yes, yeah.
Yeah.
So maybe when the first 13 episodes of this are done, or the first 12 episodes, however long the first core is, they'll go up on Netflix. But until then, they're being broadcast in Japan, but there's no way to watch them over here. And the thing is, I have a Netflix account. I will have a Netflix account when this show comes out, and I will watch it again on Netflix there.
Ditto.
So, like, I don't feel any remorse about watching this show as it airs being fan subbed, because it's ridiculous that Netflix is not simulcasting it, in my opinion. Like, the anime community, because of Crunchyroll, because of Funimation, they expect simulcasting. And if you're going to take that away from us for a show by Trigger, who is like beloved by the anime community, like people are going to go find that show and they're going to fan
And
sub
not to mention, everybody knows that they're going to love the series or not because they've watched too many movie episodes of it.
Exactly. So basically this show is starting again from scratch. Like they reintroduce all the characters.
Yep.
It's great. I
love it so far.
I love it so much. Yeah.
I'm pretty much anybody who's listening to this has already seen too many movies. If you enjoyed them, just go find the series. Yeah, it is so good.
Definitely go watch the movies that are on Netflix. There's 2 of them. They're both fantastic. It's basically Harry Potter with a magical girls' school, and it's adorable. And Susie is the best character ever.
Yeah, I agree. She's my favorite. Susie is the best.
I just love her to bits. Like I was having a conversation online where people were like, wait, you like Susie, the one who's like mean to her friends and like only does things for herself and is just like really selfish? And I'm like, yeah, isn't she perfect? Yeah. It's like everything I love about her.
I mean, yeah. She may be selfish, but I mean, in a way, she still looks out for her friends, maybe at their disadvantage sometimes, but she's looking out for them at the same time. Yeah, but yeah, she's just the greatest.
So yeah, definitely check that one out. And Trigger's animation is beautiful and wacky, just like it always is, and it's just a joy to watch. So that's it. That's the whole week. I know we skipped probably a few shows, but there's just things we're not interested in or we're not watching. So
there's no point for us covering them because we probably wouldn't say anything good about them, probably for the most part.
And we covered a lot too. I mean, we covered the vast majority of what's interesting this season.
Yeah, we definitely did. But so what's your top shows for this season then?
So
that you recommend?
My top shows would be Scum's Wish. Like I said, it's just a really interesting, well-written show. Little Witch Academia, Nyanko Days. Nyanko is love, damn it.
Wow.
Interviews with Monster Girls, obviously. Rakugo Season 2 and Konosuba Season 2. That would be my short list.
All right. Well, mine is Konosuba Season 2. Love it so much. Interview with Monster Girls, which should be renamed Cute Monster Girls Doing Cute Monster Girl Things. It's obvious. Little Witch Academia and Kobayashi-Sanchi no Maid Dragon, which is cute also. And also my surprise of the season, Saga of Tanya the Evil, which is great.
That's a good list. Yeah, we have a little bit of overlap. I mean, it's not the deepest season ever, and it definitely doesn't have the most variety. It's got a lot of cute girls doing cute things shows.
Yeah, there wasn't a very good outlook when you looked at all the shows, because I know a lot of people looking at trying to make a list of the shows they're going to watch. Everybody's like, oh man, this winter season looks rough.
Yeah.
And I'll say, honestly, it's turned out a little bit better than I thought. I usually drop more shows than I have.
Yeah.
And I've only dropped one, and I've actually kept the rest. So that's already on the positive side for me.
I'm crazy and I don't trust people's opinions, so like I always watch like the first.
Yeah, your list is huge.
I always watch like the first like 3 or so episodes of like almost everything, unless it's like really egregious, like Spirit Pact or something. But yeah, so I think I've been pleasantly surprised by the number of shows I've been able to keep around so far.
Yeah, for sure.
Anyway, that'll do it for us for our first episode. Thanks for listening. Remember to like, follow, and subscribe to us on YouTube to get updates on the new podcasts and videos. And follow us on Twitter at Nerdom and Other for updates as well. For now, so long, and remember to do your 100 sit-ups, push-ups, and squats so you can handle the rush for those discount bento boxes.
One punch!